United States police officers, U.S. Army soldiers. There are many differences, yet many similarities between the two, but there is that one question some of us might ask. Who would win in a fight? In a fight to the death between 5 U.S. police officers and 5 U.S. Army soldiers. To find out who will win, we will be looking at their weapons, armor, training, and combat experience to see who would win the squad showdown. So let's take a look at their weapons first. The police use basic small firearms, tasers, batons, and the Remington 870 shotgun. Their sniper rifles and carbines are the exact same, for the most part. The U.S. Army uses a Mosenberg 590 shotgun, which is probably way better. The M3 combat knife would probably work a lot better than a baton, and their firearms seem to be a bit more combat-based than suppressing-based. Now let's take a look at their training, which is extremely different from one another. Police training only takes 6 weeks, and the highest percentage is learning about firearms, so they're pretty good on combat. But military training is way more complex. Far more than 60 hours of firearm training and a whole lot of bodybuilding that go with it. Now let's take a look at their combat experience. So, police don't really see much combat. In fact, it's very rare for them to be in a gunfight or a shootout. But when they need to use their weapons, it's normally for a bank robbery, in which case they have to use their weapons against the armed criminals. There's also riots, which can come in many different shapes and sizes, from peaceful protests to full-on shootouts between civilians and policemen. There's also school shootings, as well as other kinds of shootings, in which case police officers have to respond to one or more students with a firearm. Police chases are another more common example of not really combat, but sometimes the car chase ends up in a shootout before any arrests or worse are made. Next, we have drug busts. During drug busts, a shootout can occur pretty easily. As for the U.S. Army, they were made for combat. Since the Revolutionary War, we have been fighting various different kinds of opponents throughout the years, including ourselves in the American Civil War. If the Revolutionary War didn't breed us for combat the same way that we are today, then the Civil War certainly did. Our first major war was in World War I, which had a lot of casualties, not just on our side, but for the rest of the world. And then, of course, there was World War II, where we suffered many casualties, especially on D-Day, and there was also the time in Japan where this picture was taken. Then there's the Vietnam War, which was very, how should I say, unsuccessful. And then there's a recent one, the Afghanistan War, which went on for many, many, many years. And this is what our modern soldier looks like today. So, who wins? Yeah, this wasn't that surprising to me. I don't know about you guys, but the U.S. military, in my opinion, won all 3 categories: training, combat, and weapon. The U.S. military is just way more equipped to deal with combat against many stronger militaries, let alone our own police. We salute our fallen soldiers and living ones. And as for the cops, well, you did good, but better luck next time. Thank you for your service anyway.